Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, after having modern pickup trucks, and we've lived in, it's nice to have that cockpit design, and it's all right here, and yeah. But then there's
and I like it to where with our truck, we had everything set to each other. Button one was yours.
Yeah.
Set windows. Radio stations, chairs, mirrors, everything to you, and then two was mine.
Program the truck to whoever, the key, your key, and or if we just used the same key, then you had a little button, driver 1, driver 2, and it just
but like with us, I put my key in, seats go back, raise up, mirrors go out. I'm like, yeah.
And then you get mad because I'd go out and grab your keys by mistake. I wasn't going to walk back in, so that I'd change all the settings with your key, and instead of just hitting the button, I'd go to change the settings.
And with our height difference, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a really big deal.
Somewhere deep in the Ozark woods lurks the two people everyone tries to avoid the most. If you're not careful, they may find you before you find them.
Hi guys! Welcome back to another episodes of Adventures in Ice Capades. No, it is almost 11 o'clock at night, January 6th, 2022. We've been slacking today, trying to recover from bad weather ailments and trying to come down sick. So grandma's congested. I'm working my way there, but we're gonna fight through it. Anyway, we're on a truck kick. We watched a video here a few days ago about the F650 custom, and grandma's just gone back to dreaming about trucks again. So we found this was a suggestion. It's Fat Fender Garage. There's 63,000 subscribers. We've never seen him before, as far as I know. But they are upgrading and are actually, I can't restore. Sounds like they're gonna RestoMod it. A 1976 4x4 F-150. So we're gonna look and see what they're gonna do to this truck.
Arizona, and we just finished a 1976 Ford F-150 on the front cover of the F100 Builder's Guide. So hopefully you're going to go out and support the magazines and purchase it. And so what we've got is a completed restoration, RestoMod, full-blown build right behind me, 1976 Ford F-150. So there's a lot that we did. Now, the cool thing about this is actually the original two-tone. So this is the original metallic silver, but not the original white. The original white actually was, I don't remember which one it was, but it was a little more off-white, and it didn't actually look really good with the silver. So we kind of changed it up a little bit and picked a different Ford white, kept it forward for everybody so that it would complement and look a little bit better. And so at the end of the day, we've got this pickup truck here, ready to go take it for a test drive. So what we've got is all the original trim that we sent out, had polished, cleaned up, new rubber on it. We've got these really awesome fuel wheels.
I like this.
The original grill shell, which is kind of cool. The grill is in really good shape, so we cleaned it up, polished it because we wanted it to just look spectacular. And a super over-the-top interior, so you feel like you're in a...
Okay, they modernized that interior. Yeah, that's like a modern, because in that was still a bench seat back then. Ford still had a bench seat. I do not believe bucket seats were even an option. But so they're, I don't know if
I'm too young to remember.
But for a single cab, I mean, you just limited. It's just you and one other person. I mean, for you and I, it'd be okay. But if we had even one of the grandkids,
nope.
I mean, yeah. Or even if we had the puppies, it'd be a no.
Nope.
So, yeah. It's hard to believe that we had a truck like that when the kids were little. And it'd be Jean, Renee, and I. Well, actually, I think Rob and Lynn pushed Robert Lee. Oh, I'm sorry. Allegedly, Robert slept and fell out the window, and it was a truck similar to this one.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, he slept with a little help from your kin. You get a drive-by with a little help from your kin.
Brand new F-150, which is kind of cool. And then under the hood, we got a 2019 Mustang GT Gen 3 Coyote swapped with a 10-speed automatic transmission out of an F-150, and then we also have the F-150 transfer case. But not to be outdone, we added a Whipple supercharger, and so it's got a lot of horsepower, and it's fun to drive. It's fast, and it's mean, and it sounds awesome. And the guy's gonna have, that owns this truck, he's gonna have a ton of fun driving this thing. So it's not tuned super powerful, meaning we kept the pulley kind of larger just because you can do a burnout in third gear, get sideways that fast. And so we also want to err on the side of safety. If he wants to change the pulley and get it up to 800 rear wheel horsepower, that's up to him. Now, the interesting thing about this is that this is a long bed and it's four-wheel drive, and so it's not your typical Coyote swap vehicle you're seeing out there. You're always seeing, you know, the 1953 to 1956s, 70, 73, 79, 67, 72, all those other generations, two-wheel drive short bed. This is four-wheel drive long bed, and actually it looks the most appropriate with a little bit of a 4-inch lift and all Fox shocks on this thing, that it actually handles really well. So even though it's got a lot of power and some of the suspension is still stock, because of the long bed and the size and just the girth of the vehicle, that actually rides super comfortably. So we're gonna go for a drive, and let's jump in and let's.
That's a sharp truck. Of course, that's the style of truck I grew. 69 up to 79 when the kids were born in the 80s. These were the vehicles that we could afford. I mean, I don't know how many 1969 Ford pickup trucks Jean Renee and I owned when we first got married. We owned 2 or 3, and then I think we moved up to 71, 72. We were proud when we could afford to get something newer than a 69. But what happens when you're young and trying to get by and you get what you can afford? I don't know. Of course, back then, I don't know how many trucks I bought for $150. I mean, I could have bought a truck like that for anywhere from $150 to $500, not in that condition, but I mean that model, all day long, back in the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, they just.
I dare you to try that now.
Yeah, couldn't even get the front bumper from a salvage yard for that now.
Let's go show you what this thing can do. Fire this bad boy up.
Oh, I don't like the steering wheel.
One of the things we tried to do is not allow the exhaust to be super loud, even though he wanted to hear this thing. So this is the exhaust system we came up with. We're using resonator, and I think we got 1 or 2 resonators, and then we also have a nice big Borla muffler. It actually sounds pretty good now. I'm actually happy with it. Just a few little things. We got the retro sound radio here mounted to some speakers in the back. So you still have the vintage, touch to it. And you've got, wireless for your phone, hands-free calling.
I don't like that steering wheel. I've never liked small steering wheels. I just don't like small steering wheels.
If somebody calls you and you can hear. We've also got the RestoMod AC system. So you're going to get cold air. We've actually got a kit that actually makes all this stuff work. So if you're doing a Coyote swap, you want to put RestoMod AC in your vehicle, we sell a kit that makes it all work. So these seats that I'm sitting in belong to a Mustang. We actually came up with a bracket that allows you to install a bracket that makes it easy for you to put Mustang seats in it. So if you're doing a Coyote swap of your own and you want to put Mustang seats in it like we did, we sell a bracket, makes it super simple. You can go online, I think it's like $179 shipped or something like that. Takes all the headache out of trying to figure out how to mount it. It's just classic looking. It has a nice console right here. You got plenty of storage, cup holders for all the fun stuff. So 1973, 79, they call these trucks the dent side because the molding goes on the 67, 72, it pops out. They call that the bump side, and on the 73, 79, it's pushed in, it's dented in where the molding goes. So they refer to it as the dent side. A lot of variations in 73 to 79, not as many in 67, 72, and so a lot of the kits and things we've come out with for the 73, 79 have proved to be a lot more challenging. They had a lot of different designs. In 76, they added the 3-point seat belts, but you couldn't get that option until 1976. And so if you want to add those, it's just a little bit more complicated. And so there's a lot of four-wheel drive differences. They were constantly changing coils, the suspension design. They had a high boy version. They had just all these different versions. And it seems like in 73, 79, that was kind of where they were really getting into a more friendlier, comfortable truck. And so you had more amenities. Things are getting more built into the dash, more comfortable, just, more ergonomically friendly. And so as you get into the 73, 79, the suspension and everything is just a lot better. And so a lot of these trucks are becoming a lot more popular to overhaul and rebuild because it is a little bit more comfortable truck, but still retains the real classic look. Now in 78, 79, the headlights changed and they went to a square headlight.
The square ones,
which some people love that. I'm impartial, I don't really care. I like them all. These are basically all new headliner. Everything's brand new in here, and so it really gives you an idea of what the changes we've made.
So this place, they're not doing a full-blown customization where, they're a one-off. They're taking stock parts and Frankensteining something, doing all the body work, bringing everything, restoring that part. But as far as the modifications, they're just using new stock parts from other Ford vehicles. They're not going out like what we want to do on your F650. You get it your way, it's going to be totally redesigned. They're going to be making parts for it.
Yeah.
They're going to be there because
it's going to be a one of a kind.
It's going to be a totally one of a kind.
Mm-hmm. Because I have to make sure they have the adjustable gas and brake pedal, because my legs are entirely too long, and the extended rail to push the seat back further than the standard one. And that's the one thing I love about Big Red. It had the extended rail so I could push the seat all the way back and still lower the pedals and have good foot movement. And my legs are not up around the dashboard or,
Not have to reach under your leg to turn the turn signal on.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so it's going to have to be a complete custom.
The goal really is just to make it as comfortable as you can and still, in some ways, modernize it a little bit, which everybody likes their new trucks, but can you still retain some of that nostalgic, old school, retro feeling that brings back all those memories that we've talked about in other videos. It's memories. The disadvantage to these trucks, when you leave everything stock, is that you're stuck with a power steering gearbox, and those are not always the best, and so you usually got to replace them. I like to replace them with an original Ford one, maybe have that rebuilt, and get the needle bearings in there. Maybe it's a little bit more tighter of a feel, but you're always going to have with a lifted truck and big tires and a gearbox, there's always going to be that 1970s play in the steering wheel as you drive it. So you can see that there's just a little bit. That's kind of about the play you're going to have. You're just going to have to wrestle with it. There's not much you can do about it. You change all your suspension and you put a different, like a power steering rack or something up front to figure all that out. It's definitely going to be a little bit tighter feel, but that's a whole nother level. I mean, to get there adds a whole nother layer to a build and cost, and not everybody wants to go there. I don't mind managing the steering wheel a little bit, so.
That looks so much like so many different places we've lived. I'm trying to figure out where he's at, and I'm going, that looks so familiar, because we've lived in so many different that look like that.
That's how you get on the freeway. We got up to about 95 right there.
I mean, there's parts of Amarillo that look like that. Parts of Tucson. I mean, I just
didn't push it. We were chirping between all the gears, and so I don't want to break anything, honestly, because I don't want to have to fix it. So I'm always that conservative. Guys want to do burnouts and all this stuff. I'm like, don't break it, let's get it to the customer first.
Let him
do
destroy
the burnout.
I let him destroy it.
Yeah.
Smooth though, like it feels as smooth as my F250 that I drive every day. Definitely not any rougher, and it's got more power than my F250 for sure. We took it on a dyno, and keep in mind, we're only doing about 10 pounds of boost on this when we did it. And at 10 pounds of boost on a dyno with a 10-speed transmission and running through a transfer case, we still managed to do 500 rear wheel horsepower, which is actually a lot. Most of your vehicles that are being driven on the road today are nowhere close. And we're able to actually, have a lot of power, which I think is plenty. It's not unmanageable. Now, if we change the pulley and we start getting up to about 18 to 20 pounds of boost, this is going to be a lot more of a handful. And I guess if you're looking for dyno numbers just to kind of brag, maybe you want to put a larger, smaller pulley. But again, I'm always conservative. I don't want to break anything. I don't want to see anybody spend a bunch of money on stuff when it's going to be a lot of fun. 750 rear wheel horsepower is actually hard to drive. It's you're only using about quarter throttle. Even me right now, I mean, I'm barely, if you watch my pedal down here, I'm cruising 70 miles an hour. Watch how it hardly moves. Like I'm barely using like 1/8 of an inch of the throttle. It's because it's got all the power in the world. Now, for gears, we did go with a 411 gear ratio. 411 gears, we felt we could justify it with the 35-inch tall tires and a 10-speed transmission. And so here we are, we're cruising at, I'll go a cruising speed of 75 miles an hour.
Let's say I don't know. If you're going to go to that kind of stuff, why don't you just go ahead and take a brand new truck chassis and just put the old shell over it? That way you got all, I mean, if you're gonna, I don't know. I'm just kind of torn on these RestoMods because, when because I'm looking at that dash and I'm seeing all these little, that dash wasn't designed for those knobs. They look like what we did back in the 70s. We just took a piece of plastic, put it, we had so many holes cut in the dash for all the modifications we'd done. We'd finally just get a piece of hard plastic or Bakelite and bolt it on there, and then we'd have, all the little holes. And if you were going to add something, then you just get you a new piece of plastic or Bakelite and just redo your whole configuration and then mount it. But I mean, it's just, I don't know. if you're going for the nostalgia, then I want it looking original. But then we want one that's safe to drive by modern standards, because those things weren't safe back then. Like I said, the steering, I remember you sitting here like this because you had that much play in those steering wheels because of the way those gearboxes would get. So it's one of those, to each their own and what they like and what they enjoy. But I've gotten to where I enjoy the modern comforts in modern cars. Okay.
Power steering.
Yeah. Well, not just that. I mean, it's just you got that big open dash, all that,
And everything's accessible from the driver's side and the passenger side,
Yeah.
except for the steering wheel for the passenger. But all the knobs and gadgets and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, after having modern pickup trucks, and we've lived in, it's nice to have that cockpit design, and it's all right here, and yeah. But then there's
And I like it to where, with our truck, we had everything set to each other. Button one was yours.
Yeah.
Set windows, radio stations, chairs, mirrors, everything to you. And then two was mine.
Program the truck to whoever, the key, your key, and or if we just used the same key, then you had a little button. Driver 1, driver 2, and it just
but like with us, I put my key in, seats go back, raise up, mirrors go out. I'm like, yeah.
And then you get mad because I'd go out and grab your keys by mistake. I wasn't going to walk back in, so that I'd change all the settings with your key, and instead of just hitting the button, I'd go to change the settings.
And with our height difference, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a really big deal.
And we're at 2,000 RPMs. So even with the supercharger, he's probably going to still get 18 miles per gallon out of this thing, which is still pretty impressive considering the magnitude of the truck and the gears and the ratio. It's just what a 10-speed automatic transmission does. I'm 48 years old, and so I don't want to be...
I was trying to figure out earlier how old. I thought he was in his 40s. So that's what I was just curious. I'll bet he's in his 40s. Was he, because he was talking about reminiscing, and I'm going, dude, you're not old enough to remember the 70 trucks when they first came out. I'm just saying, you're not. I'm saying, what do you mean that retro feel? You weren't there when it was new. I was there,
Coyote swaps are all the rage right now, and I fully stand behind them. I don't really want to use the old FE motors or, some of those, 360, 390, 460, 490, 420, 427. Those are actually great motors, and I don't want to discount them. There is a place for them, but actually not at our shop. I try to stay away from them because the power of modern technology and the power of our Coyote and merged together right with the right transmission, the right rear end, does produce something that none of these other motors will ever be able to produce. Like this truck right here, you see a Ford Raptor right there. This is faster than the Ford Raptor in a heartbeat. And it's got a 6-cylinder EcoBoost in it and twin turbos. And we actually put one of those in a little Ford Ranger, which was fast, but it's hard to beat the feel and the sound of a V8. Now, with that said, we've actually purchased some Godzilla motors, and as soon as we get a couple parts in, I hope to start retrofitting the Godzilla motor into these as well and have 2 motor options that are available. And we'll actually figure out the cam swaps and all the things you need to make a kit for it so that you can create a little more horsepower. So
oh, almost.
So for brake system on this, we actually have a Hydro Boost system. Works pretty well. That was the decision we made when we were determining how much power he was going to have, and then he had big 35-inch wheels on it. We actually developed, in addition, a Willwood 14-inch brake kit to put on this at the same time, and so you got plenty of brakes. We put a wheel brake system, disc brakes in the back. Fox shocks on here, which is actually a really big chore to figure out which ones would work, but we figured some out. Cool truck. I mean, I don't know. I can't really find anything to complain about. These little pieces right here, you can see those seatbelt covers. Those actually crumbled because of the Arizona sun. They were so old. So we actually dropped one and it shattered into like 30 pieces. And so we made these out of aluminum because we couldn't actually find any of them that were any good. And so we actually just created those for out of ABS.
You see, and with 3D printers now, all you have to do is get whatever plastic material would set up for the sun in Arizona, and I mean, it's so easy to print with 3D now that these parts are getting to be nothing to make. And if you need a one-off, you can do it. I mean, especially if you're using your higher tensile strength. I mean, there's some body parts that you could make and support parts that you could print in 3D. So it's getting easier if you can afford the technology to start out.
Because they're hard to find, and everybody's, if they do have them, they're toast. So, man, I love this thing.
So what do you think?
I like the truck. I like big metal trucks. You hit one of these newfangled cars today, and
There's not
they
as much.
crumble like chips.
Yeah, there's not as much steel in them.
Mm-hmm. I love older trucks.
Yeah, but you can only go so far when you're modifying them. You know, you can only get it the comfort level up to a certain
So
point.
far,
Yeah.
I like them, but no, I like you said.
We like our comfort.
I like my creature comfort. I'm sorry.
You know, if we ever won the multi-million-dollar lottery and we can afford to be Jay Leno and collect cars, then that could be on our list. But if we could only afford one or two, that's not going to be.
It won't be one of those.
One of those, unless we just fall into it. Somebody gives it to us, but we're not looking to buy one of those. So, all right, guys. So we're going to let you go. It's getting late. I don't know if we're going to make any more tonight or if we're just going to chillax. But hope you had fun watching the trucks with us. Hope everything's going great. And remember, enjoy how bad it is today because it'll be worse tomorrow.
Yes,
Love
I'm
y'all.
sorry.